appreciate you both for joining us here, and we know how deep your roots for both of you run through Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee. Can you just talk to me a little bit about how your families are doing right now?
Yeah, thankfully, all my friends and family are safe and accounted for. Unfortunately, that is not the case for a lot of folks right now, and I think that's why we're at the heart of why we're doing this show. You know,
And Brett, my family members are good. We live half the year in the mountains of Western North Carolina in the Banner Oak area. So the community there, our neighbors, um, have just been our friends have it's been decimated. I mean that area. So my immediate family's fine, everybody's good, but the community from where we spend half our year is not fine at all. And that's a lot of when Luke called about this concert and just trying to help. It's very very needed, and there's a lot of people in dire need in that area.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that. I mean, the Heart and Soul Project was written there at the
Mhm.
Artisanal up there in Banner
Was
Elk. When you see some of the images that come out of an area that is so close to you, what kind of emotions does that bring up in you?
well, it's devastating. I mean, that's the DNA of who I am. That place made it, and creatively, personally, that's where my soul is at rest. I mean, specifically the mountains there. That's where I go to find me when I've lost me, and to lose parts of that place and the people from that place. It's especially devastating. And I've made, I think, 3 or 4 albums. That's where I went to. I made the Chief album there. That's where I kind of go to find my creative compass, and it's a place that grounds me. So when your grounding rod comes up and you lose that, it's all about trying to get that back, and I think that's what we're both trying to do.
Yeah, and Luke, for you, Boone means so much to you. You played at App State just a couple of years ago to
yep.
so many
hmm
people. Um, it's hard to comprehend how widespread Helene affected so many people. I was there in Fairview in the Garin Creek area last week talking with folks. Luke, can you talk about the resilience and that some of these people are showing that Western North Carolinians, Eastern Tennesseans, they come together in times of need like this.
Oh, absolutely. As many tragic stories as you've heard coming out, or as many stories of neighbors showing up to help as you're going to hear as well. You mentioned you were in Fairview, Garin Creek. That's where I went to high school, and I know that that area specifically is was tremendously impacted. But yes, it's not just Asheville, it's not just Boone. There's 14, 15, 16 counties just in North Carolina that have been absolutely, absolutely destroyed by this thing. And we know that at least and I know Eric knows that people from that area are tough, and they will overcome this. But that doesn't mean that they don't need a whole hell of a lot of support right now. And I think we're just doing what we do best um, to try to send as much help as we can out there.
Yeah, Eric, you sing about a cabin in the valley that your grandpa built, in that song Carolina, one of my favorites. Who are you going to be singing for, and who are you going to be thinking of on that stage here in a couple of weeks?
It's going to be emotional just doing that. I'm going to be thinking about my grandpa. I'm going to be thinking about the people, family members, and friends, and I'm thinking about my youth and the place that built me, my home. That's what I'm going to think about, and that's going to be emotional. I don't want to have to think about that too much right now, but when we get to that night in that setting with what's going on, it's going to be emotional.
Yeah, and Luke, can you talk about a little bit about this how this project came together, this concert for
Yeah.
Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, it was just really started out as an idea, right? I was sitting at home, and I called this guy straight away. I knew that he would be having the same thoughts that I was, and I think when I called you, you were communicating with folks in
Yeah.
Banner Elk already in your community where your home is there, and um, we just got off and running with it. I was like, I knew that there was a million different places we could have a show, but I'm like, how do we do the biggest show? So my team reached out to the Panthers. Obviously, I'm a huge Panthers fan, and the Teppers were kind enough to donate the stadium to us. My production company, SES, has donated all the production. I mean, there really is almost zero overhead cost for this concert, which, means that we have, is that an extra $1 million probably just to go to the efforts. So yeah, it was really a all hands on deck situation. But it started as an idea, and making a phone call.
And
Yeah.
Brett, people have been great. People have been great too. When we started reaching out,
Yep.
and we both went into our phones and started texting people, calling people, telling them kind of what we're going to do, and people have been great to respond. It's going to be an incredible lineup. It's going to be a one of a kind for that night only music experience. And everybody is reaching out, even now, even daily. There's still people reaching out, going, "We want to be a part of it. We want to help." So it's going to be a fun night.
Yeah. Last thing, real quick, if you don't mind, Eric. Darkest Hour. I've listened to it on the way in this morning. Listened to it several times over the weekend. Having seen some of the destruction firsthand, that song hits really hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Can you talk about? Obviously, you wrote this song before this happened, and talk about a little bit about how this is going to help people moving forward for years to come.
I was in the studio doing a project for next year, and I recorded that song a few weeks ago. And never, when I wrote that song, did I ever think this would be the scenario for that song. But when the hurricane happened and I saw what happened in Western North Carolina, the main lyric of this song is, "In your darkest hour, I'll come running." And a lot of people there need us to come running. And I knew that if I stayed on schedule and waited till next year, which is what we were going to do, I was going to regret it. So we decided to move the timeline around and put out Darkest Hour. We gave it to the people in North Carolina. The copyright's theirs forever, and anything monetarily will be theirs and for the relief and recovery efforts. But also the biggest thing there is shining a light and raising awareness with the song that people don't forget about. This is not going to take months. It's going to take years to rebuild. And it's about continuing to remind them about that.